This is the April 27th, 2022 meeting of the Pulaski County Board of Election Commissioners. A quorum is present. I'll call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda would be the approval of the meeting minutes. Commissioner, have you had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes, I have, and so approved.
Do you have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes dated.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda for business is the appointment of the election officials for the May 24th preferential primary nonpartisan judicial general election. Melinda, would you like to lead us into that?
Yeah, so, of course, we've been appointing, and we did you guys have already done the initial appointment, and these are, the list you have in front of you are the ones that are actually appointed, or for you to appoint, Election Day and for early voting. And there's also an alternate list, because we still have about 7 more people that we need to appoint. And so and sometimes people drop out, they call in, something came up. So we have an alternate list there, and there's several. There are 594 election day poll workers, 97 early voting poll workers, and then the alternate list has 1,946 on it.
Oh, wow.
Those are the ones that have not been appointed, assigned.
Okay.
The election day list also includes the absentee workers.
Okay. Let's take a quick gander at the election day list.
Which one has the absentee?
The election day list.
And one thing that I did just now remember that I need to add to that, and when you make a motion to certify, I need to add before we post it over there, I need to add the staff's names to it. I went to do it, and so I need to add the staff's names, and was there one? That's it, I think. Yeah. And Commissioner Masuko gave us 10 more applications. And we can also, in the motion, we can add that to it, because one of those, some of those 7, they may work.
Okay.
So we'll contact them.
So they'll be added to the alternate list, I get. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
That way we'll pull out of there and you've approved that.
Yeah, I didn't know you had something like that, and that's the one we need to build.
We would have liked to have done it when you did the initial list, but we've actually had to clean up the database, because at that time there was like 3,000 that were, and they had been removing them and cleaning them up, so. But with your applications being the most recent, we try to do that, because that's because it's a lot of phone calls. So
Yeah.
that makes it nice to try to do the recent and go back.
I think it's also good to integrate some newer people, since some folks have been doing it a long time, to
Right.
help train them, make it smooth, because someday, we got to keep replenishing the stock, so.
Yes.
Was there many changes from this one than the one we got yesterday? Do you recall?
Just the alternate list,
Right.
because we just ironed that out. And
We've
then,
added approximately maybe 10 or so since the list yesterday, 10 to 15 at the most.
but I do have that in Excel to send you the version.
Right,
too,
okay,
I
great.
think,
Okay.
So I'll send that to you. And while you're looking that over, we have trained 418 poll workers so far. So we have
Wow.
a big training Saturday and then a couple makeups next week. And then we'll do our absentee training and area coordinator training on May 14th.
Very good.
And
Thank
if
you.
there's any, that drop out or we have an emergency situation, we fit them in. We make sure they're trained before they go
Right.
to work.
Now, that training has to be done every year. It's good for, I know it's good for 12 months. So they're good for the next,
Well,
We will train them again for the general.
okay, there will be training for the Jets, why I wanted to know. Great.
It's a lot to remember, and even special elections have things that they need to know that is hard when you just put it in writing. So used to, years ago when I was here, I did training before each election. Not the runoff, of course, there's not
Right,
enough
okay.
time, but.
No, it's good to have the refresher kind of form, yeah.
And there's always little items, for special elections that they need to know.
Right, okay. Good job. I guess you got 2 more left, 3 more trainings? Saturday, Monday,
Tuesday.
Monday and Tuesday, and then we have the Saturday, the 14th, May 14th, where we do absentee.
yeah, I think I'm gonna plan, come sit in there, I wanna see that one.
Commissioner, do you have any questions about any of the list here that we have?
No, I have no
Okay.
questions at this point.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to appoint the election officials for the May 24th preferential primary.
So moved.
Nonpartisan judicial general election, that would be for the election day workers, the early vote poll workers, and the alternate workers.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I think there's some ink in here.
I knew there was ink in it.
That May 14th, that's a Saturday? Is that a 2-hour class as well? 2 3-hour class? Alternate?
For the absentee work.
Absentee,
I think
right.
It's about an hour and a
Okay.
half. It might run 2.
They probably use,
And the training that will be Saturday, is that the general training?
It's, we have 2 election day sessions, and then the 3 o'clock session is for early vote.
Okay.
And it's a makeup session. So
Right.
For the ones that.
Less than 10 people coming to the early vote makeup. They couldn't make it during the week, so.
So the next item on business here on the agenda is the certification of the logic and accuracy testing. Melinda and or Amanda, if you all would lead us into that.
Yes, so what we have, I'll kind of let you know, of course, it was published, so LNA was published notice on April 1st, and then the public testing notice was published April 10th. And they started, it started April 4th, LNA testing, and went until they finished. So that's how it's published. So we had, let me see. I had Bart give me the numbers. We had 194 total express votes that they tested. And then we had 101 total DS200s that they tested. And so what they do is they have results that they know that it's supposed to balance to. This file is each precinct. Each of those precincts summarized into these results.
right.
So it kind of gives you that. And I'll leave that with you because you both will sign that if you want to look at it. And there's only one difference, the overvotes. Bart, explain that, where the overvotes show different for early voting.
It's
Right,
so
ma'am.
different for early voting because we do not run blank ballots through the express vote.
So,
By the way, many thanks to Bart, Jody, and Daryl for letting me go down and participate in that, and it was a learning experience. So thanks, guys. They were very patient with me, but they made me feed that machine, so.
but I'll show you guys if you take this.
Okay.
I should have ran. See if you take this, David, and then take this one over here. These are the results. Okay, this is the whole summary, but these are the results, and then this is where, and we've checked everything. It shows this is where they cast the votes. So see how it balances.
Right.
Yep.
And so we went down through the numbers, and I think they listed these numbers over here. But that's on each person, and that's cumulative for those precinct reports over there for each candidate.
What's the difference between these two?
This is the result. So before they ever even do the LNA, when you went out there to test,
yeah.
this is ran to make sure that all the votes are registering right.
Okay.
And we check it against this, because you gotta have something, just like an election. You
Right,
have to have
yeah.
something to check it against. So when they ran these, you wanna look at this and go, it all balances.
Balanced, okay.
And that's what we did, so. But I did want to point out that early vote won because of the overvotes. It's just the early vote, but
So everything's good to
it's
go?
different.
then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All the candidates, everything matches, so everything's good on it.
When do they start delivering the machines out?
For early voting, May 5th, or no, actually May 4th, I'm sorry. And that's for early voting. Election day will be that next Thursday. We start.
Okay.
I can't remember where it is.
So pretty much,
Yeah, it'll take a week and a half. Election day, equipment will definitely take about a week and a half to get it all out.
When they deliver the early voting equipment, they actually contact the election judge for the early vote site, and they meet them there so they can look at their materials and look at everything. And then for election day, the area coordinators for each of the areas contact their people and let them, they come and get their equipment, all the main equipment that they have to check through. We ask them to check through it before election day in case anything's missing. But they get that to them usually the weekend before the election.
we put seals on every one of those, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You have the express votes and the DSU
Right.
votes.
That's why I'm glad you guys let me go through that whole process to see. It was a great learning experience.
They pick up supplies, not equipment.
Huh?
Or delivers the equipment. Amanda said when I said that the area coordinators deliver the supplies, I guess I said equipment. Or what.
Oh, okay.
So
I knew they did the
Yeah,
equipment, because I saw how big they
deliver the
were.
heavy equipment, this is the stuff, all the forms and all the fun stuff
Yeah.
that they get to do.
Yeah, and I saw those boxes out there too, yeah. Is this the one we sign off on?
This is it.
Yeah, we have, okay. Did these come back to you?
Yes. We tend to shuffle our papers
That's
to
right.
get them.
All right, Commissioner, I would entertain a motion to certify the logic and accuracy testing for the May 24th preferential primary nonpartisan judicial general election.
Second that, and then I want to read the form myself as well, if you don't mind.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's-
This is all the stuff that we did out there. Yeah.
And they actually, the Secretary of State's, I think, site hasn't been ready yet, but we upload the results just like we would election night to there, and then, so we get to do all the reporting. And it actually, it looks like this, Amanda was telling me. Is it this one it looks like, or this one?
The
I was thinking
actual
of the graph.
results out of election where? It's nothing to do with the Secretary of State's website.
Oh, I thought you said one of them looks like this, only it has graphs.
It does.
Yeah.
It comes out of
Oh.
our stuff, not the
Yeah.
Secretary of State.
Yeah, but we're uploading to the election night results and all that for LNA. So we test it
Right,
before that day. But on ours, for election night, we'll have their graphs
Okay,
that
I
kind of
see.
show the candidates are kind of cool. So that's
Cool.
awesome.
Melinda, is there anything, I was reading this letter that we got from
Yeah.
Pulaski's circuit clerk. Does that implicate anything that we need to do?
So what Mark did I said Mark, but the clerk's office notified me and said they would be sending this letter. So they sent a letter just documenting it, and I usually have a folder like just for election irregularities, but basically there was 29 Uwakava voters, and they sent them the wrong ballot style. I think the wrong party, if I'm not mistaken, but anyways, they let us know, and whenever they let us know they would be sending us this letter, we went ahead and gave them a box, a separate, it's not as big as our other ballot box, to keep these, separate, and we're working on absentee procedures, so we'll be thinking through this, and making sure that because some of those voters, they may send in the other ballot, and they're able to tell who sends in what by their absentee system. So if they have already sent one in, then they won't count the others. So that they're supposed to keep that, give us the box, and we'll be sure and process them. They'll be special. There'll be 29 of them.
Right, from the clerk's letter, it appears that they've already taken measures to inform those voters and that they would be sending them the correct ballots.
Yes,
So-
yes. But the problem you have now, it's not a problem, but is that they have to keep track of, if they already send their first
Right.
one back, or say, just be sure.
Right,
So,
okay.
Good.
human error.
Right. Commissioner, you have any announcements or anything else?
No, I'm good here. Appreciate all y'all's hard work.
Absolutely. I don't have any other business. Do we have any comment from the web?
Not tonight.
Okay.
And I have a lot of stuff that you need to do.
No.
Schedule meetings. We were looking at the dates and what needs to be scheduled. For one, the first one that I have listed is we're gonna start canvassing absentee ballots on May 17th. So when we start that'll be the big bulk of them. We will have rejected ballots and maybe some provisionals. And so we were looking at maybe having you guys meet either 5/19 or 5/20 to review what we have at that point. They start canvassing, but they do not open the inner ballot envelope. So we can have, as long as we know they're good, we separate them, and so if there's any that you need to review, then you could do that either the 19th or 20th, and we'll have to do it, early voting will be going on, so we'll have to meet in the office somewhere.
So on the 17th it starts.
That's when they'll start canvassing.
There's a specific time that they,
8:30.
it's 8,
8:30.
As far, the 19th is fine by me. How about you, Commissioner?
yeah, I can do that.
Okay, we set, May 19th, 5:15.
The other date that I was gonna talk to you about was Election Day. I've kind of been throwing that back and forth. You know, because we get to canvass absentees early and everything, I didn't know but we can always add them in. Basically, when we decide what time you guys want to come here before we report, we can just do a press release and let them know that you're going to meet at blah until the results are in. And you can announce it when you can, but you can also be in the office, you can see what's going on. And if people want to come in person, they can. That's how we used to always, it was a lot easier. And then you could come in here and announce when the totals come cumulative if you want.
Sure, I think that'd be
All
fine.
together, periodically is what I meant to say. So, we'll establish that time before. At first I was thinking 5:15 because you have to go through some absentees, but there's not gonna be that many. So, we'll discuss it, and I just wanted to.
Well, on election day, we may still have a need to be somewhere until the poll closes, mightn't we? I mean, so.
And I feel like if we say election day, meeting from, and we may want to just say after like 8:30. And here as it gets closer, we'll know. We could actually announce that as it gets closer, because then you would know how many absentees you're going to have to.
Why don't we do that?
Let's do
Let's
that.
just pick the exact time later.
Okay. The last one we have to establish, and it really needs to be June 3rd, but we need to add to all of our election materials. That's when you will conduct the provisional ballot hearing, and that's the notice that we give to the voters if they vote a provisional ballot, what they can do, and that you'll be meeting. And it needs to be 10 days after the election. I shouldn't say it needs to be. We certify the election 10 days after. So normally, in the past, I guess you guys have done the provisional ballot hearing, and then you certify the election. And so June 3rd is that 10-day period.
I would say we could go ahead and set 5:15 for that day, June 3rd.
And we'll get that in the election materials. And then it's just a quick update that we're going to be following up in June. We have we've been looking at some areas on, from your last meeting that you had some public input on polling locations. So we've been checking some stuff out. And looking at that area, like where Glenview and Sherman Park, where that is. And I've contacted Glenview to see if they might be interested in being an early vote site, if, of course, with your approval, if they agree. And they seemed interested, and I let them know that I could not, that, we're in the heat of an election, so it would be June before we get to follow up with them. Of course, we may have a runoff, but I told them not to forget about us, that we would do that. And also, Precinct 50 on Election Day, they're like down, that precinct that breaks up. If Glenview would have been an Election Day polling location, all the people around Glenview still would have had to drive to Sherman, because that's where their ballot will be, because we're paper ballot. So there's in Precinct 50, Rose City Recreation Center. It's in 50, and it's right there where all the voters can, and all of them can vote, of course, early if they want, but I've contacted them, and they were very interested in being an Election Day site. The other, I talked to Argenta Library because of the the city hall, in the Maple Place Center, and they were also interested in being an election day site, but we'll need to go look at their facility as far as if it's, because he did mention it may be downstairs. But I've been working with Linda Robinson from our city, North Little Rock City Hall Council member, and she let me know that they would have parking around that area too, that the North Little Rock City will close that off, and if they don't work, we'll look. We need to look at that area to where there's parking and it's easier for the voters.
Yeah, this is too bad.
Do you think there's an accessibility problem if it's gonna be downstairs? Is that
That's what I need to look, because he had mentioned downstairs. So I let him know, well, we may,
We gotta be able to have
But-
or any of our voters with disability have to be able to get
yeah,
in there.
if it's downstairs, we may have to look around in that area more. He did say that they had they didn't have a lot of parking too, so it'd be good to look at that precinct when we can, and I have talked to Ms. Robinson. She's keeping her eyes out, to get a good area where people can park and vote on election day.
Very
So
good.
I just kind of wanted to give you a little heads up, and we wish we could continue on, but we're too busy with it. We'll do it in June,
Yeah.
so.
Thank you for that update, and thank you for looking into all those places.
If I may circle back to one of these dates, just to confirm.
Sure.
5/19/20, what are we doing? That's the day we start opening absentee ballots? Was that what that was?
That's the day you'll review the rejected absentee ballots and provisionals.
Okay, that's what I want. I guess will you be sending us this? Great, okay. Then I'll just wait for yours. But I wanted to get them in my calendar,
Yes.
so. And was there a time on 5/19? They got 8:30 on 5/17. What about the 19th? Was there a time that we set, or?
On the 19th, we said 5:15.
5/15 on
On the 19th.
and on June 3rd.
And we said 5:15 on June 3rd, and we were gonna come back with an actual time on election day after we know more about what we're looking at.
Yeah, please send those dates, make sure. Double check.
And probably on the 19th would be a good time to establish when you want to meet election day, so we can
Sure.
be thinking about it and stuff. I just thought about that, so.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. And,
All right. Any
filing, Amanda.
Go ahead.
Filing starts, so, I'll go ahead and let you.
Sorry. So the filing period begins for Jacksonville and Sherwood municipal candidates on May the 4th, and it ends on May the 23rd. So
Is it
At
noon to noon?
noon to noon, yes. And so we will have to review political practice pledges, probably on the
Yes.
24th,
At our certification meeting.
and on the election day.
Yeah, on election
And I'm
day.
certifying results
On election day.
So-
Okay.
We can put that in.
Yeah, add that to the agenda.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Anything else there from the staff? Anybody? Any comment from any of our folks here?
I'm Rocky McDaniel, I was here last time. We got a new problem since last time. They sent out the voter registration cards, and they don't have the address of the polling place for people to go vote on the cards themselves.
Are you talking about what the clerk sent out?
What the clerk sent out, now she recognized that's a problem, they noticed it.
Mhm.
Their contract wouldn't let them put anything else in there. They're gonna try to correct that, they're trying to get funds, they're gonna have to redo the system. But I Googled one of the voting places that was on my card, which was Plaza Center at the Willow House. They changed the name of it to something else. It didn't show up. So it's as if it don't exist when I Googled it. And hopefully I contacted Google, hope I can get it put in there. But it doesn't give the addresses of none of them. Some of them have missionary church, or there's several of those. If you was to Google one in North Park, there would be several come up as missionary churches or a Baptist church or whatever that's going to be. But I asked that the precincts that you actually closed, if you will put a sign on the door that gives the address of the new voting precinct.
Yes, we do that.
That's required by law, yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
because I'm afraid people are going to get directed to the wrong place. And somebody said they can call, they can always, you can't even call on a regular day and get in anywhere. So there's too many people calling and the lines are on hold, so nobody's not going to be able to be successful with that. The other thing that bothers me about that is I know when I did work a lot to VA, sometimes I'd work overtime, I'd always have to leave in time to go vote. I would leave at the last minute. I'd go to where I normally vote. If I got there and didn't vote there, I wouldn't have been on time to go somewhere else. So we're going to have some people that's not going to be able to vote because of the change. Is there any precincts that are going to still be open that people are not, that used to vote there, are not going to be eligible to vote there?
The best thing right now, and we go through redistricting every 10 years, and we've really been impressing upon people. The Secretary of State's office hosts Voter View. We have it on votepulaski.net, and we've even uploaded the sample ballots to it. It gives your polling location, and I think it gives your address. And you can also pull up which party primary you want to vote in and see who you can vote for. But it's always really before any election, the voters, the polling locations we have drop out sometimes. Sometimes they don't want to be a polling location, it's up to them. So voters should always look at where they vote before, an election, if they can. But that's what we have. Right.
But the other time we have some older people.
And then we always have our early voting, so.
Yeah, well, some people like me, not that smart. Some of the people said that since the polling place has changed, they're going to go vote early. Because they don't want to go where the new
It
one
makes
is,
it nice.
which is all right. But the line is long now, early voting, where it didn't used to be. There's more people out there in that long line.
Yes, addresses are voter view.
Okay,
But
the addresses are on Voter View.
Okay.
Mhm.
On the other ones that are not candidates, they're trying to get them out to early vote. But when they do that, the line is so long that I even took chairs out for people that were handicapped, couldn't stand up, to set in to go through the line, and I picked them up and moved them up. And one of the other candidates, I was campaigning for another candidate back across the street. He kind of accused me of trying to get votes. I said, I'm not mentioning votes to anybody. They can vote where they want to. I'm just don't want them standing up there, falling down. And so, but that was another concern that I had too. But I'm hoping that we don't have less of a turnout and that people don't get away from the polling places. But it's something we can't correct now, it's too late. So we're going to try to make the best of it. We hope to get our voting precincts back in line. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Robinson.
Uh-huh.
And back in 2018, I was canvassing at Sherman Park. That's usually where I worked, and that's where I have been working on election day to garner votes. There were 4 or 5 people that voted at Sherman Park, and when they came out, they said, "You were not on our ballot." And when I spoke with the person at the inside the precinct, she said, "Well, there's nothing we can do about it now because they voted." So help me to educate people to know if they get their ballot. I don't know if there'll be a sign. I know you're doing training.
We are posting.
Telling people if your candidate is not on the ballot, turn it back in, But for me, now I'm gonna tell you, to me, 5 votes is a lot of votes. You know, if my opponent gets one vote, to me, that's one too many. You know, so that's just, I take it just as serious as I take playing spades, okay? I take
that real serious.
I take it real serious. So if we can have some type of, and I'm gonna ask neighborhood services that when they put out their newsletter, quarterly newsletter, that they also make that mention in that book, in that newsletter, to let people know, because a lot of people don't know. And my second thing is, I really appreciate you all's patience in listening to us a couple of weeks ago. I appreciate it. I know dealing with the public sometimes can be difficult, you know. Trust me, I know. You know, it can be. But I appreciate you all. And Ms. Lemons and I have talked several times since then, and look like we're going to come up with a win-win for everybody. But one of the things I'm going to do, Ms. Lemons, I'm going to call Crystal Gates with the Lehman Library. Let her know we don't want to go downstairs. But we want to be at the Argenta Library. We want to be upstairs, because I do have some people, you know, coming in wheelchairs and all, and they have the thing, they can do it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But so I'll call Crystal on that.
So one thing that we've added back to our materials is a sign that says, ask before you cast your vote. It's more, I pulled it back off of the state board. We used to always post those. But what's funny, when I was doing the training, one of the guys, it just came out, I said, ask before you cast. And he said, that needs to be a slogan. You need to just put that, ask before, because once you cast, it's too late, you know? And
Right.
so, but they will be posted this time at the sites. But there's so many signs, you know, that we really like to tell voters, please ask. If you don't see somebody on there, ask.
Right.
Right.
Okay, well, that's one of the things too that I'll get with the city on to put in our neighborhood newsletter and put in our community newsletters as well. Anyway, I don't have a lot to say, but you know, I just want you all to know that I appreciate you and the work that you're doing.
We appreciate you. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate your help.
Yes.
With that, I'll adjourn the meeting.